And just like that, I'm back. Olá, boa tarde, boa noite. Feliz quinta-feira. Woo-hoo-hoo. Hello, everyone. I am Krishan Wright. I'm the founder of Black Sick Global and the host of the Black Sick Global podcast. I swear it's coming back, y'all. It is. I am joining you from my home. I said home because I was thinking of Coimbra, my home in Coimbra, Portugal. Or I can just make one word and go home. Look, as somebody who's learning a new language in her 50s, sometimes it just all comes together. I'm just trying to make my mouth work. Although I'm going to digress for a second. I think I finally cracked the code on the sound that gives away that I'm a foreigner. I think I've cracked the code on the dreaded R. So I have to say it a few times, especially around a Portuguese speaker. But I think I finally cracked the code, in my brain, because an H sound, or word, let's say audio, right? Schedule hours, you don't pronounce the H. But a word like would be spoken in English, R-U-A, rua, which would be street, but they don't pronounce it like that. The R is actually an H sound. So I have to keep telling my brain that when I see an R word, it's like hua, right? More like throaty, like hua, like I'm about the hakalugi. So I think I finally cracked the code. So wish me luck, but I think I finally did it. It's only taken over 2.5 years. But I think I did it. I'm in my head now. It's making sense. But anyway, I hope you all are well. Yeah, it's a lot to talk about today. I'm getting a little warm. It is warm. So now we're officially in spring. It is warm here in Portugal. In the past few days, it's been in the 70s. And next week, it's going to be 77, which is amazing. Especially, still coming out of monsoon season, winter. But spring has finally sprung here. The leaves are out. The trees are blossoming in the flowers, and been enjoying the sunsets. And so if you've been following me on the socials, you've probably seen a couple pictures of the amazing sunsets here. All the time, spring is one of my favorite seasons, but especially here in Portugal. Lots to talk about today because it's questionable. I don't even know. I don't know all the words to use when I think about America these days, but regardless, I wanted to give some updates before I go into tonight's talk. So I will be speaking at the Job Liberation Virtual Summit, which is taking place in May. So early May. So if you are interested in attending, thinking about that job you don't like, or you've lost your job, or you're just trying to be strategic and you're planning your move abroad and you want to learn about, income streams and ways that you can mentally prepare for transitioning or upskilling or leveraging your skills to make money for yourself, it is a good time to participate. Like I said, I will be speaking at the summit this year. So I'm really excited to be asked to speak again. I'm going to drop the link. They are in early bird pricing until March 31st. And then ticket prices will increase. So I just dropped the link for you for reference. And let's say hello to who's first in the chat. It's Deborah. Hey, Black Expat to be. How are you? I hope you are well. Hey, Venus. Cheryl, PhD, a channel member. Hello. Hello, friends. How are you? Hey, Octavia's in the house. Hey, Lisa. Hey, Fall Girl. Oh, New Jersey. Where are you in New Jersey? That was my stomping ground. I need to know. Hello, Anya. Long time no speak. Oh, here's the thing for the Job Liberation Virtual Summit. I also posted the link in the description of the video. And while you're here, subscribe to the channel. I always forget to say these things, but it's important. So, yeah. So let's get into it. Whew. As you know, I've been living in Portugal for a few years now, I can say, approaching 3. But look, I have been leading Blacks at Global for almost 6 years. This is our 6th year, and I've seen a lot of things, interviewed a lot of people, made my own observations. I know we have some new friends here. So I started my journey to thoughtfully and intentionally move abroad in 2023, but I started planning that in 2017. I'd always wanted to move abroad my whole life, but finally in 2017, when I went on my first solo trip to New Zealand, that trip changed my life. And I decided at the end of that trip, before I left, because I was bawling like a baby, that 2023 was going to be my year. And so for 6 years, I was planning my move, actively planning, setting benchmarks, how I was going to save money, all the things, right? Where, how I was going to work, where I was going to live. I was going to move to New Zealand. I'm in Portugal. Things changed. But nevertheless, what I saw happening, not only when I made that decision in 2017, but also when I was, like I said, new friends here. I was in politics for 10 years. I was a social worker. I worked in healthcare in various capacities. So I've worked in a lot of systems. I also worked in television. And so being influential in these systems over the years, I got to see various perspectives, how things worked, and then came to the conclusion that I was exhausting myself for no reason. That the system that I was trying to change, because, we all want to change the world and whatnot, was operating as it was designed to. And I remember in 2018, I was recovering from surgery. And so I was home for like close to 2 months. And so it was at that point that I started binge watching The Handmaid's Tale. So I am not a person who watches shows when they air, like right when they air. Like I need to at least get them a couple seasons in because I don't want to make the investment and then the show not get picked up. So I'm notorious for seeing stuff like late. Like I'm about to start watching The Wire. Hello, Michael B. Jordan is like in his late 30s, but I'm going to watch the show from 20 years ago for the first time. Anyway, so as I was watching The Handmaid's Tale, and this is in 2018, I was like, oh shit. This is eerily similar to what's going on in America. Like I could just see things. So some things was just like, wow, right? It felt far away, things that were going on. And for people that have, read the book or, watched the show, beginning scenes where, they're running and all this other stuff. And then you get to the airport. And I was like, ooh, right? This dystopian reality. So some things felt a little far-fetched, felt at the time, but not out of the realm of possibility. So interestingly enough, as I was like prepping for today's talk and, again, just seeing so many parallels today, Margaret Atwood, who is the author of the Handmaid's Tale series, interestingly enough, she used America's treatment of us as the inspiration for Gilead. Because this was not just like, oh, this was the machinations of a woman. This was this dystopian reality and all stuff. No. She drew inspo. Not dissimilar to how Hitler drew inspo from America in how they ended up in the Holocaust, right? Inspo. Inspo. So as I was watching The Handmaid's Tale, like I said, a couple years ago, at one point, because these seasons, like they'll do a season and it won't come back for like a year or two. At one point, I stopped watching it because it was getting too close to reality. And I was like, ooh, I need to not know how this story ends. It was only a couple months ago that I finally picked up the series again and watched it to the end. But excuse me. Anyway, when I was thinking about all of the stuff that's going on in the headlines and what's going on in America, I was like, ooh, child. If America ain't Gilly Addin, I don't know what is. And who knows? Maybe you feel the same. Oh, thank you. Because it feels like it. It is. I know I'm excited. I'm 20 years late to the party, but it's on brand for me. It's on brand. Yes, right? Because I was like, what the fuck? Right? So I wanted to like crystallize it because yes, some of you are on the journey, the Move Broad journey. Some of you are having your moments of awakening where you're connecting the dots or at least starting to ask the question, like, is this normal? And I won't bury the lead. No, it's not normal. This is abnormal. Hi, Bailey. You wanted to say hi to the peoples? I know. So let's start with it. Normalization of the unthinkable. Right? Like I said, when I watched The Handmaid's Tale for the first time in 2018, I was like, oh, wow. Like, June, the lead character, at one point, just like I said, running for her life and all this other stuff. And, they get to the airports and you see these, well, they didn't go to the airport. There was another scene, but another character. I won't give too much away because some of y'all haven't watched it, but gets to the airport, heavily militarized, checking IDs, citizenships. And now fast forward to today, we have this stalemate between the Democrats and the Republicans about funding for ICE, rightly so, because, they've been acting like goons, unaliving people, taking people, kidnapping people, like just craziness. Of course, attracting the wrong people. But look, the police force is another evolution of slave catchers, right? And I'm not saying this is not conjecture. There are documents that have noted that, especially after the civil rights movement, that members of the KKK and other people of that mind decided to bring themselves in law enforcement, that they were being recruited into law enforcement. And not just law enforcement like police, right? Police, sheriff, judges, etc., right? The whole justice system. So it's not far-fetched that you would get to a point now where TSA, which was created after 9/11, the TSA now doesn't have funding. How mysterious. Because I know ever since TSA was created, when you look at your airfare, there is a line item, for those of you who pay attention to all those taxes and fees, for TSA. So how we ain't got no money to fund TSA? But got boatloads of money. I swear I wasn't drinking today. Boatloads of money to fund ICE, to be a goon squad. Make it make sense. And so you have TSA workers who aren't getting paid, who are now at airports with ICE agents that are getting paid. Huh? Again, make it make sense. And so these TSA workers, a lot of them are quitting their jobs. They're like, I can't go a month without money. Americans, the vast majority of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. And these are not highly paid individuals to begin with, right? I mean, they make a modest salary, but not highly paid. And even if you did have a big salary, there are people who make six figures and multiple six figures. If they miss a check, they asked out. So what? And so now you have these agents who are there supposedly for crowd control, still detaining and arresting people at the airport for the immigration crackdown. And then they have these people, because again, you always have to have a mouthpiece or two at the airport, and they interview these people, and some people are like, oh, I don't mind. And then at other airports, it's like 4-5 hours delay. People have missed flights trying to get through. Like Clear, Nexus, Global Entry, none of that stuff is saving people. So it's normalization of the unthinkable, which now you have this goon squad, and you normalize dysfunction, right? And so I saw one of my cousins had just posted, because she was flying from Atlanta to Florida. I was like, oh, I hope this goes away soon. It's not going to go away. Once they're in there like swimwear, right? Because they want you to get fatigued. They want you to normalize what's not normal, and their presence becomes, I guess this is just the way it is now. The new normal. It's not normal, right? I also liken it to sinners. Don't let the vampires in. Don't let the vampires in. Lock the motherfucking door. I'm just reading your comments. So the other thing, right? Surveillance culture. Controlling. Damn, what's up in my mouth today? Controlling a movement. Shifting travel, which was TSA, to this enforcement agency. And then like chaos. You saw what happened the other day, right? The plane from Canada, from Montreal, that crashed at LaGuardia, and which was horrific. And again, reminiscent of last year's disaster with the last few seconds of the plane in DC that crashed into a military plane. So again, it's like, how is a plane crash into a military plane? How does a plane crash into a fire truck on the runway? Oh, I know. Underfunding, capitalism, right? Do more with less. So I listened to some of the tapes, and I listened to some of the recordings like after the event, and you just hear this one air traffic controller. Now they're alleging that there was two in there. Nevertheless, it's like, so you're supposed to land the planes, monitor what's happening on the runway, monitor the people that's in the sky, like, and air traffic controllers have to train for 6 years. 6 years. It's not like you just fill out an application, you get hired, and you at the controls. Mm-mm. They're highly skilled, but they are down collectively like 3,500 air traffic controllers down. They're at a deficit. Now, if you're a historian, you might be asking, well, how did we get here? Because during Reagan's administration, there was, because if you're old enough, you'll remember these things. They was like, oh, they wasn't gonna pay air traffic controllers. They went on strike. And then you fired them. That's a highly stressful job. I mean, if you make a mistake, it costs lives, as we see, right? So the industry has never really fully recovered. Then you get this joker that comes in the office the second time. I don't know how y'all let that happen. And then you have one major accident last year, and you claim that, oh, Sean Duffy, oh, we're going to put more people, we're going to get more people in the pipeline. But at the same time, y'all yapping that you don't want any DEI folks. What do you have in the administration? Didn't even earn it. What? Hegseth was a talking head on the news. Duffy was married to this reality TV chick. Like Christy Nome, oh my gosh. The other week, I Googled her. Oh my gosh, she has like a whole different face. It's just crazy. Like this cast of characters. It is crazy. But I'm like, you have this like surveillance culture, and they've been, again, training us for a long time. Oh, you want to get through the airport faster? Submit all your biometrics and stuff. Go through pre-check. Oh, that's not fast enough for you. You can do clear. Oh, hey, use your phone. You can, don't worry about your password. Just use your fingerprint. Use your face recognition. So we've gotten to a point where every time you go on a website, just click accept. Don't read the terms and conditions. So you sign your life away. A cookie gets dropped in your file. All of these things that give unfettered access, where these devices are listening constantly, right? Oh, everybody's got a little Bluetooth this, voice activated that. And so you've gotten used to, you know what? A little surveillance, a little control, go to the grocery store. So now people have realized, or are starting to realize, that they've relinquished so much privacy that they are so afraid to say anything. Fear keeps you in line. Fear keeps you in line. And so when you make that shift from a functioning democracy, which I'm going to tell you right now, it is not functioning, to an autocratic, authoritarian regime, a Gilead, one of the first things to go is freedom of movement. ICE at the airports. So people were all fine. Some people were all fine when they were going after the immigrants, until they were married to one, and oh, you voted for this joker, but they took your husband, or they took your wife, or they took your child, or they took your worker. America was never serious about cracking down on immigration. Want to know why? Because if the thought was, oh, these quote unquote illegals, which all human beings are human, right? Everybody's a human being. Nobody's illegal. Let's start there. You're worried about, oh, they're taking your jobs. First of all, they don't have a job that I want. And I don't have a job that they want. And if with all my degrees that an illegal can come off the street and take my job, maybe I wasn't qualified for the job. But that doesn't serve the narrative. You have to paint them as an other, which is reductive, which is dehumanizing. So I'm like, if you seriously wanted to crack down, you would erect damn, what the hell? Maybe I need another nap. You would arrest the employers, not the workers. Not the workers. The people who hire them. But you won't do it. And you want to know why? Because the employers vote. The employers have money to hire lawyers. The employers know their rights. So who are you going to instill fear in? The person who's disenfranchised, the person who doesn't have a bank account because they're worried about immigration coming after them. The person who's working against somewhere else. That's who you go after. But if you were serious about cracking down on immigration, simple enough, go after the employer. But again, logic. That's too much for some folk. Yeah, 4 or 5 hours. I have no desire to fly to America. Okay, I've been talking for a little bit. Let me see what y'all have been saying. Maybe give my mouth a little bit of a rest. Yeah, reimagine your life in another land. Yeah, I'm a citizen of the world. Right? We are citizens of the world. Yes. Yes, we will get to that. Don't worry. Yeah, we've been paying for that for over 20 years. But again, and I've said it, so many times, even on the podcast, Americans are so complacent. So complacent. And a lot of Americans do not know how their government works. And like I said, I was in politics for a number of years. I was politically active even as a teenager. So I just, like I said, I've been in different levels of government and stuff. So I know how these things work from the inside. And I now living abroad, living in Europe, and I don't profess to know the ins and outs of, Portugal's democracy, parliament, all that stuff. I'm still learning. And I will say no utopia exists as long as there are humans. That said, when I look at countries like France, try cutting back on a service, try instituting a tax, try changing the retirement age there. Those French people will burn it all down because they're like, look, you work for us, not the other way around. But Americans, we send our tax dollars, we toil at jobs way longer than we need to without, unions, representation. And even when we do have union representation, questionable at best. Been functioning for decades, most people without pensions, no safety nets, right? An erosion of basic services, paying tolls on bridges that have far paid for themselves, but the maintenance is shoddy, if it happens at all, crumbling infrastructure, and it's like da-doop, da-doop, time to make the donuts. Wage stagnation, coupled by massive inflation, shrinkflation, but no revolt. Time to make the donuts. Make it make sense. Because Americans fear their government. They would rather live in the illusion of a democracy because it helps them sleep at night. Buy another Starbucks, another car, another whatever, right? Because it's a consumer-driven society. Then actually fight for your rights. I'm telling you, the vampire's at the door. Yeah. Expertise in aerospace, expertise in science. I mean, we saw that during the pandemic, right? And even after with RFK Jr. Let me not even go on that one. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, look, the president of the United States, reality show. Like, people have been obsessed with reality TV for over 25 years, and now you're living one. People know more about what's going on with the Kardashians, who the latest apprentice was, the Bachelorette show getting canceled this year, than their own rights. And the rest of the world is like, what the actual fuck, America? I told you. I'm telling you. Okay, look. I'm terrible. Okay. So, I'm going. Oh my goodness. Where is it? Where's the picture? Y'all know what she looked like. Christy Nome. Okay, here we go. Where's the picture? Okay, let's see if we can do this. I'm terrible. Look at this. Are y'all seeing this? That's not the same person. What the hell? Like, everybody has a little glow up and stuff. I get it. But if that ain't an example of Mar-a-Lago face, I don't know what is. Yeah, clean your cookies, delete them. But I mean, like I said, I've worked in a lot of different industries. whether it's cookies on your devices, receipt data every time you use a credit card. They got a lot of shit, right? It's no accident that you think something or you thought something, think something, talk to somebody about something, search something, and then all of a sudden you're getting an ad and all this other stuff. And with targeting and advanced analytics and AI and predictive, not only that, and dynamic pricing, and I see it now, right? My friends and I, we're travelers. We'll be looking at the same hotel because they're on their computer in their house. I'm here in mine at the same time. I will get one price, they will get another. Same search, same time. That's what's happening. I would say before that. Oh yeah, exactly. So it's tough speak for people who don't understand what's going on, right? Oh, we're cracking down. And people are like sheep. Oh, they're feeling it now because shit's getting real expensive. And America imports a lot. And then of course the farmers, they're not getting their subsidies, mostly white farmers, because like over 90% are white farmers because, they stole all the land from the black farmers or colluded with, um, you know, agriculture administration to not get subsidies and grants and things like that. So now they're boohooing. But when the proposal came a few years ago to give Black farmers, a leg up because they've been so historically disenfranchised and so much egregious things have happened to them, in addition to things that have happened through the agricultural department with whistleblowers, white farmers were like, no, that's reverse racism. So now you want me to cry because ICE done came and took your workers and now your land is rotting and you're not going to get paid and you can't make the payments on those loans because they have to get loans in order to do the crops. Look who's not crying. What? I ain't feeling bad for y'all, motherfuckers. You did this to yourselves. What? Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Yep. Racism, misogynoir, complacency. Yep. Yeah, some people can have nice things. Some people cannot have nice things. Okay, where did I leave off? Okay, social tightening. That's the next one. Social tightening. It is crazy to think that, again, the illusion of a functioning democracy, America is not, right? And control doesn't start with these like dramatic swings in law, but with this drumbeat approach in creating these culture wars, which has gone on for over a decade, right? Because we were like, oh, we just got to make it through Trump 2.0. This bitch been around for over a decade in politics. Don't think it's going back to the good old days. Like if we're saying and looking sideways when they say make America great, what are you thinking about when America was ever great for us? Never. Christina's gone. Never. So the culture wars. Oh, the gays, the trans, right? Oh, we can't have gays. No, 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 no. We can't have, oh, there, books about them. We can't have them around our kids. They're trying to convert them. All kinds of craziness. The illegals, we gonna build a wall. DEI, we can't have woke. We can't have critical race theory. We can't be worrying about, we can't be making our kids feel bad for being white. But I'm supposed to feel bad for being black? For being trans, queer, non-binary, insert whatever, an immigrant? Yet these jokers that are running shit are married to immigrants. Oh, but that's right. They're the acceptable kind. What? So what does social tightening look like? Again, going back to my Gilead thesis. In The Handmaid's Tale, June goes to get money out of the bank and poof, ain't no money, right? Bank account's frozen. What? Fast forward to 2026. The other week, I have to see if yes. So in Florida, not surprised, and in Texas, I had to double check my notes. If you had changed your gender marker on your driver's license, they passed a law which immediately invalidated your driver's license. So you open the mail, get something from the DMV, you no longer have a driver's license. Not, hey, you have 30 days to correct this, right? They want your birth gender marker to match what's on your driver's license. Again, when this administration came in, first rule of business, order of business, they were delaying passports because they wanted to make sure people's birth certificate matched their gender marker. So now, you mean to tell me if you're found to be driving, you won't just get fined, you'll be put in prison. So it's like you immediately do not have a driver's license. Not like, oh, you can go to the DMV, get it corrected within 10 days. No, can't appeal. No. Done. So how are you going to go to work? School. Social tightening. The other day it was, I can't remember what state. You'll have to Google. But the commercial driver's license of immigrants immediately done, canceled, invalidated, revoked, because they said, oh, now this is going to impact about 200,000 immigrants. Oh, they have too many accidents. Social tightening. Now, somebody might be ignorant enough to be sitting there and saying, well, I'm not trans, I'm not gay. This doesn't apply to me. Sucks for them. If it happens to one, it happens to us all. I was born in 1974. Before 1974, women were not allowed to have bank accounts. Could not buy a car, own a home. stayed in situations and relations because the only way to have provisions, protection, was by being married because only a man could do these things. Only a man. Goes back to my Gilead example. What do you think America is trying to make great again? Don't think your bank and your credit card asking you to update your income, your employer, and all these other questions is because they're just being polite. Or if you've been paying attention, certain banks will ask, have banners on it. Not just your beneficiaries, but give the name and contact information of a trusted contact in the event that they have concerns about your well-being. Why do I need my bank to know that? Why? Hello, welcome. Hope you're doing well, Jesse. Yeah. Why? Goes back to what I said before. Normalization of the unthinkable. Again, social tightening. What has happened? What have we been talking about? Last year, over 350 Black women, 1,000 Black women lost their jobs. It's continuing. Prolonged unemployment, ageism has been alive and well in America. One of the things that made me realize that I could not live in America anymore was like the reality. I'm like, oh shit, I'm not getting any younger. And at the time, I was a digital marketer. So I was like, ooh, who's going to pay multiple six figures for a 50-some-odd-year-old digital marketer? Who? What? Black? Female? What? I was like, ooh, I got to pivot. I got to pivot out of that. Because the older you get in America, irrespective of all the shenanigans going on, the target is on your back. You are more expensive as you age. Because look, I've said it before. Once I turn 50, man, that check engine light stay on. You sneeze too hard, fart too loud, something gonna hurt. What? Mm-mm. And then you think they're gonna keep you in the job? No. Mm-mm. And now with this mandate, right? The hood is off. The mask has fallen. They're saying the quiet parts out loud. And so these same companies that claim that they were progressive and all that stuff, they showing their ass, aka Target. And yes, the boycott is still on. We ain't coming back up in there, bitch. You need to learn. Yeah, I'm sure you've seen them. I know. I'm glad you're doing well, though. I am. Thank you. I am too. AI is snatching people's jobs. And look, I use AI, right? It makes my life easier in a lot of ways. Translations, other things, you know, disputes. Shoot, ChatGPT's on payroll. But again, like anything, it's a tool. It's how you use it, right? But unfortunately, we were conditioned to aspire to not only have wealth, because that in and of itself is not the bad thing, right? To aspire to move up, right? Upward mobility. That's why you go to college. That's why you try to get a good job, all these other things. That in and of itself is not the bad thing. But we were conditioned, much like little girls were conditioned that the prince was going to come and fairy tale happily ever after, that the people who had money were smart and that they were the good guys. Now, the people who have obscene amounts of wealth, hoarding amounts of wealth, right? That even if they each gave a couple billion, they would still be billionaires and solve a lot of the world's problems, not just the United States problems, are the bad guys. There was a landmark case yesterday where Meta, aka Facebook, got their asses handed down, right? And I think YouTube also was in that dispute. It was a lawsuit around child endangerment and mishandling of children's information and things like that allowed them to be in a vulnerable situation, to be the traffic predators, etc., pornography. Meta laid off 700 employees, but at the same time instituted a compensation plan for their executives that's going to yield them obscene amounts of money. Because they had a target, and I'm trying to remember the article really quick. I think it was by, somebody can keep me honest and Google it. It was on New York Times yesterday. But I think the target goal is by 2031 to have 90, keep me honest here, it may not be my 90. I thought it was though, 90 billion in revenue. What? And again, people thought the people that had money were the good guys. South African Elon came in there, private citizen, in charge of a quasi-government agency, Doge, ransacked the government and took all of our information. So like I said, even though I said clear your cookies and all this other stuff, they already got what they came for. Christina's gone. Yeah, because look, America, 250 years old, right? They would say, oh, yeah, no taxation without representation. And, Boston Tea Party, that tax. So y'all broke up with Britain over taxes and shit. But what do you do now? Tax the hell out of your citizens and get nothing in return. Right? Pay into TSA, been paying that fee for over 20 years. Now look where we are. Right? Been paying into Social Security. Some of us have been working decades. If you had that same amount of money that they siphon off of your paycheck was actually invested in the stock market during that same period of time, you'd be a multimillionaire. Not trying to hang on to 67 or 70 so you can get a whopping $2,000 a month till you die. And fun fact, average life expectancy in the United States is 76. It's a losing proposition. And then look, Gilead, control of bodies, right? Again, Margaret Atwood used what they did to us as inspiration for the creation of Gilead, right? Roe v. Wade, when they dismantled Roe v. Wade. Right? And all these other states that have made abortions illegal in all cases. Because usually, there was even it was a overreach in cases of rape, incest. Nope. Right? The life of the mother. Nope. Was that case last year with that Black woman? They used her like a vegetable. Heartbreaking. Bodily autonomy out the window. Very similar to the Handmaid's Tale, right? If you weren't fertile anymore, you go off, kind of like Django, right? And they have people turning big rocks into little rocks. Right? They had the other women in the fields. And then the fertile ones were getting raped. And they were wet nurses. Oddly familiar. Oddly familiar. So now, and especially with technology, right? They have these period tracking apps and all of these things. Why? And I get it, right? Like a woman wants to, know her cycle and stuff like that. But you have to think about who else can use that information. I forgot might have even been Portugal. One of these countries, European countries recently, made it where women can take time off, like when they get their periods and stuff. Because it's crazy. Like we have to deal with some ridiculous amount of pain. If men were bleeding out of their penises every month, trust. They'd be like, oh, Lord Jesus, I can't think. What? And they call us the weaker sex? Like we create humans. I gave birth to both my children, no drugs. Well, actually with my, I was no drugs half the way, but then like the last little bit because I had a cold. But Miles, like, 29 hours, 45 minutes. Kick a man in the ball, see him doubled over. We are not the weaker sex. We are over 50% of the population. But when they roll back Roe v. Wade, business as usual. We didn't collectively shut that shit down. No, we don't tax billionaires. But they tax the shit out of us because they figured the name of the game. How did Elon buy Twitter? Stock. He didn't pay taxes. He leveraged his stock. He leveraged his Tesla stock to purchase Twitter. Plus, he got some other fools to put up their money and avoided taxes. I thought it was Portugal, but I was like, every time I'm always riding on it, they be like, oh, and it wasn't Portugal, but it was Portugal. Yeah. Mm-hmm. MD 4292 said the average life expectancy for us Black folks is even less in the U.S. For Black men, it is 70.3. For Black women, it's 77.6. So the retirement math does not add up for us. Exactly. You have to decouple from the system. You have to. In order to survive, in order to win, you have to. Nobody's saying you have to or you can't do it now. If today was the day that you had your awakening, your moment where things finally clicked and you're like, oh shit, you know what? It's not too late, but you have to do something because it's happening. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They didn't mind us when we were in the fields, in the homes, feeding their children, wet nurses, cleaning up after them. Thomas Jefferson had how many children with Sally Hemings? Raped her, kept her in a little cubby hole in the house. But yeah, we got these bitches on our money. We have schools named after them. Make it make sense. They will always uphold the system. Upholding their fiction is worth more than acknowledging your humanity. And how do they do that? Control narrative, control history. Control history. Critical race theory. Woke. I don't want my kids feeling bad for being white. But yet, how many pictures have we seen of lynchings with them standing in their Sunday best next to their children? That wasn't too much for their little white eyes. And I don't recall seeing them turn away in anguish and disgust. Yesterday, TMZ reported in Memphis. Keep me honest, I think it was Memphis. It was started with M. There was I think it was a courthouse being cleared out, a government building. And in the government building, they found Ku Klux Klan paraphernalia dating back to the 60s, including a ledger with people's names and what they paid in dues and who was in arrears. And it was volumes. This didn't happen overnight. Republicans been playing the long game. And don't say, oh, the Dems in it. Them in it too. Them in it too. Don't get it twisted. Two-party system, no. That democracy being gone. Christina's gone. Christina is gone. Right? Control history, control the narrative. Think about it. We have been, I'd say more or less collectively, pretty shocked and dismayed at the brutality in the apartheid state that is Israel and its treatment of the Palestinians for a long time. But if you say that, you're anti-Semite. Israel has a right to exist. People were losing their jobs, bank accounts. Couldn't say shit. Now these jokers over there bombing the hell out of, or at least trying to, Iran. Billions of dollars going to Israel. They have free healthcare. They have nukes. They have no established borders. Why? Because they plan to expand. But if I can control the narrative that anything you say about them makes you racist, makes you an anti-Semite, then I silence you. But you can say all the anti-Black shit. You can do all the things and play in our faces. You don't say. And like I said, don't be trying to, oh, the Dems, no. They take AIPAC money too. Chuck Schumer. Biden. Christina's gone. Oh, yes, absolutely. All. Hello, brother. All. Which leads to number 6. The global divide versus the global majority. So, some of y'all have asked the question about the vote, the historic vote, right? Go Ghana. So for those that have not been watching the news cycle, so there was a UN resolution. So this resolution, just to give some context, this was not the first time it was ever introduced. I don't know for sure if it was the first time introduced by Ghana. However, the fact that it was Ghana is very important. Recognizing the transatlantic slave trade. as one of the most egregious, crimes against humanity, right? And so it went to a vote. Over 123 nations voted for it to recognize it. 3 voted no. No surprise, the United States. Israel, again, no surprise. And Argentina. And then there were over 50 countries that abstained. So one might ask, what was Portugal's position? Because I live in Portugal. I get it. So give again some context. A few years ago, under our former president, Marcelo, he had, so we have a new president, acknowledged that and apologized for Portugal's role in the transatlantic slave trade. Ghana, had a couple of years ago, the year of the return. Ghana was also a participant. And so there was that acknowledgement. So some might say, wow, there was that acknowledgement then, but then the vote yesterday, they abstained, right? Portugal is a member of the EU, the European Union. There are 28 or 29. I think there might be 29 now. It was 27 when I moved to Portugal, but I think we've added 2 since then. Member states, right? Various member states. France, Germany, Portugal, yada, yada, yada. As a bloc, the European Union abstained from the vote. They did not vote no. They just, as a bloc, did not vote yes. So while a member country may have made a political, distancing from it, etc., or position statement, they abstained as a whole from the vote. What does the vote mean? The vote is not a legally binding thing, although it is historic and very important because it acknowledges it. And honestly, I have to say, because this resolution has come in various forms over the years, it had to be now. It had to be now, and it had to be with the joker that's occupying the White House, because it couldn't have passed before, right? He has made so much bad will and ill will that is like, nah, we've been feeling this, but we gonna support this. But it opens the door for reparative justice, acknowledgement, right? And so abstention doesn't mean that you don't believe that it happened. Obviously it did. You might object to some of the language. You might object to, well, what does that mean in modern day times? Look, bullshit, okay? The United States paid reparations to Japanese for the internment. They paid, and even as recent as New York had paid money to Jews that were in the Holocaust victims just last year, right? The United States paid reparations to slaveholders. Don't tell me with DNA advances and all that stuff that you can't figure that shit out. I can tell you that you can't quantify. It's been quantified. And again, if any of these billionaires are feeling benevolent, they themselves can collectively create a mechanism, right? Not far-fetched. One of the reasons why America survived was because of private money. JP Morgan of JP Morgan Chase, right? Bailed out America. Not, long time ago. So who's to say it can't be done? But every time you see stuff like, oh, 200 billion for a war. Oh, that's right. Can't call it a war because you didn't go to Congress. Conflict that you started with Iran, that you brought a slingshot to a gunfight. So yeah, the global majority is saying we ain't having that shit no more. Which is why they're mad at Ghana. That's why they're mad at South Africa and disinvited the South African president from the G7. That's why you're seeing them up in arms about, the leader of Burkina Faso. That's why y'all are, I say y'all as Americans, are about to get fake chocolate, right? Fake chocolate is approved. Why? Because Nestle and Hershey don't want to contribute to a fund that would provide equity to cocoa farmers in Africa. They're extractors. No different than the money that France has been siphoning from Haiti since it got its independence to make an example of it. So yeah, some of these new African leaders are like, I don't give a fuck what that treaty said. That treaty can be untreated, right? We are the global majority. So is this happening overnight? No, but it's happening. And people are paying attention. And so it's going to be harder, especially with technology being what it is. However, asterisk, while social media exists and TikTok and all that stuff, that has made it where we know what's going on in places like, like I said, what's going on in Pakistan, Iran, what was going on, in the UAE with this most recent aggression. But think about who controls it. Elon, Zuckerberg, Ellison. Don't get too comfortable. Don't get too comfortable. But should you be hopeful? Absolutely. Should you be excited? Most definitely. But do you think they're going to run you a check anytime soon? No. And if they do, hey, I live abroad. I'll give you my routing number. Right? Hooray for technology. But am I going to sit there waiting? Psh. I'm like that meme of Viola Davis picking up the briefcase. No, absolutely not. And so last but not least, the architects of the system, right? So again, the architects of Gilead, when you think about the show, The Handmaid's Tale, Serena Joy, a woman, right? And so yes, white women participate in their demise and the collective demise because they value proximity, right? And not just in this example, historically, right? Who are the biggest beneficiaries of DEI? White women. Think about Trump administration 1.0, right? Who is that witch-like looking woman? Her husband was a Democrat. Oh, it'll come to me. One of you guys will put it in the comments. She had like the straw hair and stuff. And then, like I say, yeah, Chrissy Noem, although she's gone now. But yeah, you've got all the little bimbos get in their company blowout and waves, you know, to toe the line. And then you have architects like Steve Miller, Steve Bannon, creating this dystopian society. I'm sure that they watched The Handmaid's Tale or read the book, and it was their wet dream. And they decided to put pen to paper, get with the Heritage Foundation, and create Project 2025. And oh, fun fact, what's going on with TSA is on page 159. I mean, if you really want to know what's going to happen, 900 pages. They done told you what they going to do. Christina's gone. Kellyanne Conway, thank you. I knew one of y'all was going to get it. Yes. Yeah. Right? They always got their witches on their brooms doing their dirty work. You know, Melania. Like, we have Michelle Obama, and you got this penthouse. Right? She don't even like his ass. But again, proximity. Don't matter if you're liberal. I mean, look, conservatives, they are who they are, right? I rather them, honestly, because them liberals, fucking shape-shifting asses. They want proximity to us when it's convenient to them, where they want to look cool, they want to be down. Every time you go, I hated that in corporate America. When you go to these like functions or, you know, town halls, whatever, you want to play our music, you want to cosplay that you're down. But when it comes to promotions, when it comes to advancement, when it comes to meaningful engagement, it's bullshit. And we're seeing how it plays out now. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Exactly. She didn't go away. Yeah. They were like, I'm DEI. Yes. Portugalia. And yes, they're located in Newark, New Jersey. Mm-hmm. No lies. So that was a 7. I'll run down the list again, and then I'll go to the questions, because I know some of you join at different times. So how is America looking like Gilead? How is America turning into the Handmaid's Tale? Normalizing the unthinkable, right? Checkpoints, right? They're telling people, have your passport, because you need your passport to vote. And remember, names have to match, which automatically can disenfranchise a woman because sometimes she drops her name, marriage, so it's not going to match your birth certificate. TSA at the airports. They're not leaving. Surveillance culture, controlling of movement. Again, whether you're talking about the surveillance with these biometrics, depending on where you are, most states, they have some type of easy pass in your car. That's a tracker. Every time you use your credit card. I used to do digital marketing. I knew when people would buy the various products that I worked on, how often they bought, what count sizes, receipt data. Companies buy receipt data. They take that receipt data, they give it to companies like Facebook, they find you, and then they show you an ad. Poof! Now all of a sudden, oh shit! I just remembered I needed that. That was no accident. Social tightening, right? It's amazing how intrusive these companies are. For your best interest, we need to know a trusted contact in the event that we, your bank, has concerns about your well-being. Don't have no concern about my well-being, baby. Right? Meanwhile, gays, trans people, immigrants are getting their licenses revoked in mass. And when it happens to one, don't think it ain't gonna happen to you. They test on one group, the group that is most disenfranchised. Just like they've been testing on us, right? Remember, college was free in the United States until they had to educate us. Then all of a sudden, tuition. Then they said, oh, this is kind of profitable. They want to get educated. But there's only 13% of them. You got all these white people over here. We'll pay the fee. Now you got multiple, well, 6 figures at least to get a college degree. And what was the article I read yesterday? That I forgot the percentage off the top of my head, but that graduating, college students graduating with an undergrad degree in the United States are not finding work. That it is reminiscent of 2008, 2009. And I talked about this a couple weeks ago where I did the parallels because I shared my own story. This is going to be worse than 2008, 2009. I said when I was almost $1 million in hole, never again. And some people thought, oh, it was just, convergence of things, random stuff. History is cyclical. It don't matter that it took 16 years for this shit to happen again. It was going to happen. And it was going to be worse. Loss of bodily autonomy. Right? Women. Oh, Roe v. Wade. Women, especially Black women, experimenting on us. Healthcare system in the United States is a joke anyway. Controlling the narrative. The victor is who writes history. I talked about this a little bit last week. My recap of Egypt. It's amazing standing before these temples and pyramids and things like that date back 4,000, 4,500 years, 3,000 years in some cases. But yet you motherfuckers sat there and told us that Egyptians were white. That Liz Taylor's blonde, oh no, not blonde hair, but what was it? Hazel, purple eyes, whatever it was Cleopatra. White in North Africa? Y'all jokers can't be on the beach in New Jersey, the Jersey Shore, 10 minutes without turning into a tomato. So I'm supposed to believe that y'all was out there in a desert, no trees. Okay, carry on. I digress. The global divide versus the global majority. American isolationism, American exceptionalism, is not holding itself up against the global majority. And so, yes, when you have American exceptionalism, you think you can be a cowboy and, I'm going to go off to war and make a case, much like George Bush did. I'll give him this much credit. At least he went to the UN. They lied. They lied about weapons of mass destruction. They lied. However, at least they went before the UN. I'll give you that. And before Congress. I'll give you that. But you also messed with the election. Remember, Gorby Bush, hanging Chad. So, yeah, these same people that believe in American exceptionalism will hire a bunch of loyalists and idiots like Hexeth and Noam and Elon and think white is right and make up shit like, oh, white genocide in South Africa. Digress for a second. Hundreds of those jokers went back to South Africa. And South Africa, you good. Because I'd have been like, bitch, you ain't coming back in here. Hell no. You embarrassed me? Mm-mm. You would have been stateless. Anyway, I digress. And architects of the system, right? I mean, look, 900 pages. But just like Gilead, remember, they had their rituals and things like that. And if you pull up the article about what happened with the artifacts that they discovered in that government building from the KKK, and they had rituals and diagrams of how the Ku Klux Klan members were supposed to walk in formation and stuff, much like Christian nationalism and how, they have siphoned money through these churches and mega churches to fund these PACs that have created three strikes and all of these things that have disenfranchised us historically, but also is coming to bite them in the ass. But again, the victor writes history. Much like they created white Jesus and got all of these black people to believe, some of y'all is going to be upset right now, in white Jesus and Christianity. And I have come, I'm not going to digress too much on this topic, but religion, organized religion. Like, I don't profess to know or believe that there is one, because I identify more as a spiritualist. However, when I think about the Bible, there's a lot of versions of it. I don't know many versions, if any, of some of the others. Quran, Torah, but a lot of denominations and versions, right? You got the Southern Baptist, you got Church of God in Christ, you got this. We lost the narrative as a collective when we did not mobilize financially, meaning they were siphoning all of this money, these Christian conservatives, through these churches for decades. Decades. Follow the money. And so why do they get to play in our face? Because we don't have a PAC. We don't have a mechanism financially to make them pay when they do something against us that egregious us. That's why they don't do anything to the Jews, because they have AIPAC, they have the Anti-Defamation League, we have the NAACP awards. We had BET, but Allison just bought that and shuttered BET Plus. But again, I'm talking politics and power. You're in Albania? Oh my gosh, I gotta have you back on the channel. It's on my list of places to go. Okay, that was the list. All right, now I gotta go back through your questions, and then we're gonna call it. This is a long one tonight. Sorry, y'all. Talked about that. Excuse me. Ooh, in Provence. Yes, oui, oui. Ooh. Let's see. Talked about that. Yep. Did that one. Yes, absolutely. And then even when you decline it, either you don't get the content or they want you to pay, which is crazy. It's all capitalism. Oh no. Yes. Planter is getting a lot of information. Absolutely. They have government contract. Absolutely. Social tightening looks like people not being able to cross from state to state, restrict movement until you can fly, unless you have a star on your license. Yeah, because they claim that, everybody has to get the real ID, right? Because it was a matter of security. But yet they kept delaying the implementation. If they were so worried about the security, then why the hell are the lines as long as they are right now? If they were worried about security, why are people dying in the skies? And not even in the skies, right? The last few minutes. The most dangerous part of any flight is takeoff and landing. So you mean to tell me in both of those scenarios, those people were safer through 35,000 feet in the air? Unreal. Sheesh, an hour and a half. Yeah, they don't know what to do. They're just there. Yeah. These people that are running the country, they don't know what the fuck they're doing. And now they want to send 2,000 to 3,000 people to basically invade Iran while they're having peace talks. That's suicide mission. That's no different than how they thought they were going to outsmart the Vietnamese. And we lost that war too. Much like the 20-year war in Afghanistan, right? Didn't find not one weapon of mass destruction. And it's like, oh, that's right. There's only been one nation that has nukes that has ever used them against another nation, and that would be America. But that's why they want to dumb down education. You know, you don't control a populace, at least America doesn't, by teaching them their civic rights, right? Because back when I was at school, they taught civics. They don't do that anymore, right? You don't control a population by teaching them critical thinking. You control a population by dumbing it down, right, to its lowest common denominator, which is why the news is presented the way it is. 24-hour news cycle, sound bites, chunked information, headline only, no context, no follow-up, very little. Long-form investigative journalism went out the window a long time ago. Christina's gone. Ah, yay! You got it. You can do it. You can do it. I've been getting them out. If you're interested in getting out, you can join us in Black's the Global Passport. April. April's the next month coming up. I'm like, what month are we in? We are going up in April. I'm going to post tomorrow the date for our next accountability group. So if you're interested in getting your Move Abroad plan, if you become a Passport Plus member, you have access to our Black's the Global course, the Move Abroad course, as well as our accountability group. Those that fail to plan to fail. Yeah. Oh, of course. But then, I mean, we're not surprised, right? Because, remember when when the Dems went against Bernie Sanders in favor of Hillary, right? And they were on the fence when Biden, dropped out the race. They didn't run to endorse Kamala Harris. And these are just the most recent examples. There are tons of examples. Yeah. Exactly. And so, like I said, sometimes it's just semantics in terms of, they hide behind, we objected to like a word in the language or whatever. It's like, yeah, okay. Yes. Yes. And then they also, I think it was America, I was listening to their their no vote. And it was like, well, yes, we're not objecting to the fact that it was horrible, right? But at the same time, it wasn't against the law at the time or international law. I don't give a fuck. Right? But you're dealing with, and we all are dealing with collectively, the ramifications of it. And the fact that you are still doing it. You're still extracting, right? Minerals, human labor, trafficking, etc., from the continent, from West Asia, oil. Oh boy. Can we fix all these problems? Not in our lifetime, right? Just was in Egypt looking at things that were 45,000 years old, right? 4,500 years old, not 45,000, 4,500 years old. I'm 51. In the grand scheme of things, in the continuum of time, we're only here for a nanosecond. It's what you do at that time, right? So get educated, get in community, get your plan together, and get you some free, get you some joy. Yep. Oh yeah. I mean, I am. I'm not making any changes. Mm-mm. Yeah. I'm not making any changes. I'm screwed. Right. If the Oracle of Omaha pulls his money out of the stock market, then I'll think about it. Mm. You got that right. Goodness gracious. All right. I think we did it. I just looked. I don't think there's any questions or comments that I didn't address. I think we did it. Yeah. All right. Okay. I think we did it. Here is the information for those of you who are interested in joining Black's Global Passport, our private community off of social media. And like I said, if you have been inspired in any way, shape, or form, click the like button, listen to the Black Global podcast, subscribe to the channel, right? Get your ticket to the Job Liberation Virtual Summit for Black women. If you are a Black woman, you have been thinking about leaving your job, maybe you are out of work right now, and you are inspired to take action, there is going to be an amazing conference happening in May, a lot of speakers, including myself. So come on through. All right. I will be back. Same bat time, same bat channel next week. Until then, be safe, be well. Don't let the vampires in the house. Ciao, ciao. Good night.